Hello, friends. I hope all of you are doing well. It is your friendly executive cat herder, Marissa Friedman, or Marissa Friedman, depending on how fancy we are feeling today. Hi to those of you that are on Instagram and TikTok. If you actually want to see all of the slides that I'm sharing, make sure you jump to my LinkedIn because that's where all the magic is happening. So you guys may have noticed that I'm hyper fixated on these conversations around accountability this week and masterminds, and all of this comes because it's the end of the year. And I feel like as everyone kind of scrambles in their planning for the new year, there's a lot of conversations around like, should I do a mastermind? Should I not do a mastermind? And I'm reminded of a couple of things. So this is one of the proverbs. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Okay. But that's the foundation for what we're talking about. And before we start having these conversations around like, hey, is a mastermind a fit for your business? Please know that there are all kinds of masterminds that are available to you. And what I know is that they come in all shape or form. So some statistics that I shared on yesterday's live stream was that if you commit to a goal to another person, doesn't matter if you pay them or not, your probability of completing that goal goes to 65%. Okay. If you commit to a goal and then set a follow-up appointment with that person to complete that goal, your goal percentage of completion goes up to 95%. So somebody had sent me a message yesterday kind of talking about, hey, like, how do I know how to vet a mastermind? How do I know if it's a right fit? How do I, like, all of these questions? And so all I can do is jump on all these different tools and platforms and give you some guidance that is specific to things that I have done. So it's going to be the difference between counsel and advice. Now, if you guys are joining me on Instagram and you want to kind of see the slides and different things that I might be showing, you will have to jump over to LinkedIn because that's where all of this fun stuff is happening. But the first thing I'm going to do is read to you one particular thing that I thought was really, really important. Now, this book came out in 1989. It is very, very old, and it's from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you don't know or never heard of this book, I feel for you. Grab it, go to a thrift store, go to the library. I mean, here's the biggest thing, and this is the foundation for everything that I do in my business, and I think it's really important as a strategist that I articulate this. The way we see the problem is the problem, okay? People are intrigued when they see good things happening in the lives of individuals, families, and organizations that are based on solid principles. They admire such personal strength and maturity, such family unity and teamwork, such adaptive, synergistic organizational cultures. And their immediate request is very revealing of their basic paradigm. How do you do it? Teach me the techniques. What they're really saying is, give me some quick fix advice or solution that will relieve the pain that I have in my own situation. They will find people who will meet their wants and teach these things. And for a short time, skills and techniques may appear to work. They may eliminate some of the cosmetic or acute problems through social aspirin and band-aids, but the underlying chronic condition remains, and eventually new acute symptoms will appear. The more people are into quick fix and focus on the acute problems and pain, the more their approach contributes to their chronic condition. The way we see the problem is the problem. Look again at the concerns and think about this in your own life. And so when I look at this and I look at this power of masterminds, there isn't a day that doesn't go by when an entrepreneur comes to me and says, hey, I need to fast track this thing. How can I get some cash going in the next 2 weeks? And I'm like, okay, so is the problem that you need to generate revenue, or is the problem that you don't know what you want to focus on, or is the problem that you're so focused on financial insecurity that you are trying to drive this change and you cannot focus, and so you're frenetic, and that energy is kind of contagious, and it's not conducive to positive things, right? Have you ever talked to someone on the phone and they sound desperate? You just kind of feel like, yee, is this an energy that I want? So when we talked about masterminds, we talked about some of the statistics around accountability and what that can bring to you. But I thought it would be really important to share with you not only my own experience, but first of all, number one, I do not believe that a mastermind is a good fit for everyone. And here's why. You have to be able to go into a room and be rigorously honest with yourself and be able to say in front of people, I suck at A, B, C, D, E. Okay? Most entrepreneurs and small business owners, we make our problem is someone else's fault, right? Oh, that vendor didn't deliver. Oh, that person is shitty. Oh, X, Y, and Z. Instead of saying, you know what? I didn't ask the right questions to that vendor. I didn't ask the right things to that person. And ultimately, because I didn't tell them what I wanted, no matter what they gave me, I wouldn't be successful. So again, a mastermind is going to require the type of person that is willing to be honest, not only with themselves, but in a group of people. And that is tough, right? Early on, I figured out that one of my challenges that I have when I'm communicating with people is that because I am so direct, it can often come as like uncaring or unkind. And so a lot of times I would preface information and I would almost apologize for my delivery. And then I kind of said, you know what? I understand that I'm a direct person. I also understand that I'm the client and I'm paying someone that I want to be really clear so that we don't have any miscommunication later on. And you know what? That resonated with people. Like we could build respectful relationships and they understood that I wasn't coming from a mean place. So let's talk about question number 1, right? Which is what is your goal when you are joining a mastermind group? What's your goal? What do you want people to know? What, and I think again, when we talk about masterminds, I am talking about the simple act of actually kind of showing up. So number 1, joining a mastermind, right, it's not for bragging or street cred. That's not why we join a mastermind. We don't join a mastermind so we can talk about the mastermind and then not do anything about the mastermind. So what do you want out of it? Are you wanting networking, accountability, support, collaboration, knowledge? Are you wanting access to people and resources, right? It's that whole example of being at the nightclub. Do you want to skip that line and know the bouncer? Do you want to know the bartender? Do you want to know the owner? Okay. Know what you want when you go into that space and what type of group to join. And also, if you are new in your business and you are looking for support, you might get overwhelmed if you're in a group with all visionaries, right? If you're following EOS and you're a visionary and you really need to be with integrators, it can be dangerous to just go into a mastermind with all visionaries because you guys are all at that 10,000 foot and you're not at that 6 foot level. So again, if you are looking for support, be very clear. Hey, I want a group to be accountable. Hey, I want a group to support me. Hey, I want a group to let's come up with partnerships and ways to generate revenue. Hey, let's form a social media pod and share each other's content. Here's a pro tip. Join a mastermind with people that share similar goals and mindsets at the same income or business level and or within kind of complementary industries. What does that mean? That means if you are trying to make at least $10,000 a month, be in a group with other 6-figure business owners. Be very clear, though, that when people say they're a 6-figure business owner, does that mean that's their gross or does that mean that's their net? Okay. So that's number 1. What is your goal for the mastermind group? What do you want out of this group? What is going to compel you to put dollars down to be a part of something? And again, I am not selling a mastermind group. I know tons of incredible masterminds that are out there, but I had so much pushback on that piece of content about masterminds that's kind of been the focus this week. So second thing, number 2 question to think about before you join a mastermind: what format do you work best in? Are you best in person or are you best online? Do you need a meeting once a week, once a month, quarterly? Do you want like a hot seat where they put you in and everyone kind of gives you tons of feedback? Or do you just want pure open discussion? Do you need homework? Is there a retreat? What is your commitment? These are all the best things to think about when you look at that format. You might go, so that's a lot to take in on a freaking Tuesday at 2:24 in the afternoon, but so it goes, right? So Hot Seat Mastermind is one that focuses on kind of one person at a time that goes. And what you do is kind of channel the collective brain power of all of the members in that organization. Now, what happens is that result is a very intense and productive brainstorming session, and it kind of helps you solve a business problem. Now, if you do not have one specific kind of burning desire, that's probably not going to work for you, right? That's probably not going to be your jam. However, what we look at is know what you're getting into and know what the commitment is and be willing to commit. A mastermind is not going to help you if you commit to go to a monthly meeting and then you show up to the meeting and you've got like your phone out and you're like doing other shit. Like That's not what that's for. You have to assess what's available in your time and your schedule and figure out, hey, like, if you find an organizer you like, ask the organizer questions. Hey, like, what type of people have been in this in the past? What quantifiable wins have people had as a result of being part of this group? And are people just collaborating? Are they allowed to do business with each other? Are they not? Surprisingly, there are some masterminds that you go into where people are not allowed to do business. And here's why. Okay, I've been in one of these. The reason is because people, in order to be vulnerable, cannot necessarily be selling to one another, right? If you've got a flaw in your business on, say, your sales follow-up, right? And then you're trying to pitch yourself to this group, but your flaw is sales follow-up. It's kind of a hot mess, right? So what we're trying to do is to kind of determine that. So tip one, right? If you think back to it, tip one was, what is your end goal for that group? Tip two is, what format do you best work in? Now, question three is probably the hottest topic of all the topics we've talked about, which is, do you join a peer or a paid mastermind group? Ooh, that's a loaded question, right? Do I throw dollars down, or do I just do something free? There are pros and cons to each type of group. In general, when you pay for something, you are psychologically more committed to it because you look at it as putting an investment to yourself. All the time, and even I see this, right? I do a lot of great empowerment programs through different cities across the country, Austin, Houston, Miami-Dade County, New York. And what I find is that if a program is free, people are less likely to be committed to it because there is absolutely no penalty. Now, I'm not saying that that's not a good starting point. If you're strapped and you just want to create a little accountability group for yourself, that's fine. However, pure masterminds tend to be free. You can grab a couple group of friends. However, you don't need, in my opinion, your friends are probably not going to be the people that help you push your business forward. Probably your family is not going to be the ones to help you push your business forward. So what we look at is, you need a group that's going to keep you accountable, that's going to challenge you, and that, make sure that what you're looking for is a group of people that are going to drive you forward. Everyone in a paid mastermind, because you've all committed to paying a certain amount of money, is more invested on all levels. They tend to show up, it's more organized, it's consistent, and you can have trackable, measurable success, right? So that to me is a big indicator through this process of like, hey, do I go the free route with some colleagues or do I go paid? I lean towards paid simply because I'm the kind of person that if I pay for something, I'm going to do it. However, I'm going to give you a very specific example of the gym. So I know a ton of people that have gym memberships that never go to the gym. If the mastermind that you are paying to be a part of is at a lower ticket price and it's low enough, whether you show up is not relevant, right? Like, it may not matter. So that's why I tend to lean towards something that is a stretch for you, and you should feel the impact of it. You should feel like, oh crap, if I go, I'm losing out on this money, right? And again, I'm not selling a mastermind. I don't have a mastermind that I'm offering. I have just been talking about how they have been impactful in my business and the mistakes that I see when people are going into these spaces. So just quick recap. Number one, the 4 questions to ask before joining a mastermind group: what is your goal? Accountability, support, collaboration, networking. What's your goal? Question number 2 to ask is, what format do you best work in? Online, in person, quarterly, weekly, retreats. Like, what's the format that works best for you? Okay. Then question number 3, again, was, should you join like a peer mastermind group or paid? Now, again, if you do not have a ton of money to invest in this type of stuff, like, I get it. However, what are you not accomplishing because you have no one to be accountable to? And I think it's a push-pull, right? Like, it's a trade-off. I was just talking to my colleague and one of my VAs. She was talking about looking at how much she spends on coffee. What we determined is she's spending about $4,800 a year on coffee. That could be a mastermind seat for her. She's trying to start more of a virtual assistant business. And so we talked about like, okay, how could we replace that with a more productive behavior that would help grow her brand or business, right? So these things that seem like, oh my gosh, it's not that hard. I promise. I promise that if this is something that interests you and you are trying to grow, there are tons of opportunity. Now, question number 4 really comes down to you. And I hate to say this, but I think it all comes down to the level of commitment that you have, right? Which is, am I willing to make the time to commit to this group that I join? There's not a day that goes by where I don't meet someone that says, hey, Marissa, like, I just don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. So really think to yourself, am I willing to do this? And I kind of look at it like you're only as strong as the weakest link. So because a mastermind is really relying on the collective brain power of that group, if you're checked out, it's not going to help anyone, and it's definitely not going to help you. And you can't just show up when you need something. You have to be committed to giving as much as you are committed to receiving. Take that in. You have to be committed to giving as much as receiving, because that is how it works. You can't just show up. It's not a one-sided relationship, okay? If you are not ready to put in that effort, then you will be doing yourself and others a disservice. And so what I think overall is that, yes, absolutely, that masterminds are a game changer in your business that give you this opportunity to step outside of your comfort zone while also giving you support, right? But at the same time, you have to know and you have to understand that this is a real problem, that you're looking for this kind of silver bullet solution. What the result is that, oh crap, like I actually didn't give it the time. And so spend some time thinking about what are the things that you're willing to do, right? Are you invested? And again, consider the advice that I gave you at the beginning of this live stream, which is this isn't for everybody. Right? But I've had so much pushback to people saying, I think it was really pompous that you went into a mastermind and that you assessed that you were better than some of these people. And I'm like, yeah, like you have to determine, like, do I have the chops to actually do what my chosen profession is or not? Right? The best way to do that is then to get into a room with people and realize, like, where's my baseline? Okay, I'm at the same level. Okay, I may not have the business experience, but I have the knowledge experience that would take me to the next level. Right? And so that's kind of the process here of trying to figure out where you want to go. So again, reminder for you. Number 1, when you're trying to evaluate if a mastermind is for you, number 1, what's your end goal? What do you want out of that? Number 2, what is the format that you work best in? Right? Do you join a peer or paid mastermind group? And question number 4, are you willing to make a commitment? So with that, my friends, today's live stream is coming to its completion. I hope that this has been helpful. I know that for some of you guys, it can be overwhelming to kind of look at this information, but I promise you that if you take some time to really evaluate kind of these things, instead of just kind of like, oh, I should be in a mastermind, and then you don't show up and participate, there's no point, right? So I think there's a delicate kind of jumping off point. And with that, my friends, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Happy Tuesday.